Hello friends, my name is Mursaleen Nisar and I am pursuing master's degree in Lovely Professional University. This is for the first time that I am presenting something through a YouTube channel and I hope and I will try my best. So my topic is about Indian Parliament. So let's talk about the introduction part about the Parliament is that this is the highest legislative body. The Parliament is a union government's legislative body and the Indian Parliament is that body's top legislative authority. Due to the adoption of the parliamentary form of government, often known as Westminster model of the government, it holds a dominant and important role in the Indian democratic political system. The first elected parliament was established in April 1952 following the 1951 and 1952 general elections held in accordance with India's new constitution. So let's talk about the constitutional provisions that the parliament has. The organization, makeup, duration, officials, process, privilege, and the powers of the parliament are covered under Articles 79 to 122 in Part 5th of the Constitution. Framework for the Parliament. The British model for the Parliament was used by the Indian constitutionalist writers as a guide rather than the American pattern. In India, the President is a crucial component of the legislative in the USA and he's not. Then talking about the organs of the parliament. So there are two organs of the parliament. The first one is Rajya Sabha, which is also known as the Council of States. The Indian Union states and union territories are represented in the upper house, often known as the second chamber or House of Elders. Since it's never completely disbanded, the Rajya Sabha is known as the permanent house of the parliament. The distribution of Rajya Sabha seats to the seats and the UTs is covered under the 5th schedule of the Indian Constitution. Then talking about the composition, Rajya Sabha can have a maximum of 250 members, of whom 230 are representatives of states and UTs elected indirectly and 12 are presidential nominees. The number of members in the House is currently 245, of which 12 are president nominated and 229 represent the states. Election of representatives. Members of state legislative assemblies elect the representatives for each state. Members of an electoral college created especially for the purpose indirectly elect the MPs from each UT in the Rajya Sabha. In the Rajya Sabha, only 3 UTs, Delhi, Pondicherry and Jammu and Kashmir, are represented. Others lack sufficient population. Members with unique knowledge or real-world experience in the arts, literature, science or social services make up the President's list of nominees. The goal is to give notable individuals a seat in the chamber without holding elections. Then talking about the functions of the parliament. The Rajya Sabha is crucial in examining and amending laws proposed by the Lok House. It can also propose legislation, and for a piece of legislation to become law, it must pass the Rajya Sabha. And talking about the powers of Rajya Sabha is the Rajya Sabha represents the states on matters pertaining to the states, thus it must be consulted before making any decisions that have an impact on the states. The Rajya Sabha must approve any removal or transfer of a topic from the state list requested by the Union Parliament. So talking about the other house, that is the Lok Sabha, the House of People. It is the lower house, often known as the first chamber of popular house, and it represents all of the Indian citizens. The Lok Sabha's maximum membership is set at 550, of which 530 members must be state legislators and 20 must from UTs. The number of members in the Lok Sabha at the moment of 543, of which 530 are from the states and 13 are from UTs. Prior to the 95th of Amendment Act of 2009, the President had also proposed 2 members from the Anglo-Indian community. However, this provision was only good until 2020. Members are chosen by direct popular vote from the territorial seats within their representative states. The Lok Sabha MPs from UTs are elected directly under the Union Territories Direct Election to the Parliament of the People Act of 1965. Selecting the executive, a team of people who work together to carry out the legislation passed by the parliament is one of the Lok Sabha's most crucial duties. When we use the word government, we frequently mean this executive. Talking about the powers that the parliament has, decision made in a joint session must be approved by both houses before becoming a regular law. Nonetheless, if there is a disagreement between the two houses, a combined session of both houses is called to make the final judgment. The Lok Sabha's viewpoint is more likely to succeed in such a conference due to its greater strength. Power in financial matters. The Lok Sabha has greater authority in financial concerns. The Rajya Sabha cannot reject the government's budget or any other measure pertaining to money once it has been approved by the Lok Sabha. It can only be changed or delayed by 14 days by the Rajya Sabha. The latter may or may not accept these changes. Council of Ministers control. The Lok Sabha has authority over the Council of Ministers. The Prime Minister and all other ministers must resign the majority. If the majority of Lok Sabha members vote no confidence in the Council of Ministers, this authority does not lie with the Rajya Sabha. President of India is an essential member of the parliament, even though he or she is not a member of either houses and does not sit in on parliamentary sessions. The highest official authority in the nation, he or she is the head of the state. Talking about the election of the President of India is chosen by the elected members of the Parliament and members of the Legislative Assemblies. He enjoys so many powers. The major must have the President's assent in order to pass both houses of the Parliament and become law. When the chambers are not in session, he has the authority to convoke and prorogue both houses, dissolve the Lok Sabha and issue ordinances. Rajya Sabha, the membership, how can we get the membership from the parliament? In the Rajya Sabha, a candidate must be an Indian national and at least 30 years of age, and he should not have any kind of office, any kind of profit, and he should swear or affirm that he would uphold the Indian constitution, and he should be registered voter in the state from which he or she is seeking election in the Rajya Sabha. And there are so many other things that Rajya Sabha candidate must have, that, like, for example, each candidate from the reserved seat must be the member of the appropriate scheduled caste or scheduled tribe. So disqualifications based on the constitution, like if they want to disqualify someone from the constitution who they do not want to be the member of the parliament, so he can be disqualified based on something. So whether she or she holds any paid positions with the federal or state governments, it is except that of the ministers or any other office exempted by the parliament. If a judge has ruled that the person is mentally ill, if they are unsolved insolvent, if the person is no longer an Indian student, if they are ineligible under any law passed by the parliament, on legal grounds, Representation of People Act 1951, convicted of the number of elections related offences, corrupt election related actions. So there are some other also things that disqualified a person, a member, from the membership of the parliament. And there is a tenure for the members of the parliament. Every Rajya Sabha member has a guaranteed 6-year term in the office. Every 2 years, 1/3 of its members leave. They have the right to run out the membership again. And then talking about Lok Sabha, and Lok Sabha typical term is 5 years. And then its duration may be increased during a national emergency by 1 year at a time. Then talking about the powers and functions of the parliament. Only parliament has the authority to enact laws on the unit list subjects. The parliament has the authority to enact laws on the concurrent list in conjunction with the state legislatures. It has financial duties. Every year the parliament approves the budget, election activities, and the Rajya Sabha elects its deputy chairman, whereas the Lok Sabha elects its speaker and deputy speaker. Then talking about the removal authority that the parliament has. On the initiative of the parliament, some high-ranking officials may be dismissed from their positions. It has the power to impeachment of the president, Supreme Court justice, and the judge of the high courts of the constitutional violations. The majority of the constitutional provisions can be modified by the parliament with a special majority. Only the parliament with the consent of the states may change some sections and some other powers also, and it has the control over the executive also. And this was my presentation. This was all about parliament, and I hope that this first attempt was very well.